Kia ora, welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm sitting here with my friend
Maia Aoake,
and we hope you enjoy this episode. We're cranking into it.
Nice.
We have been, I don't know how long, so maybe a couple of months trying to get this together.
I know, it's been so long.
Yeah, we had, so the initial reach out, and then I think honestly the day that I probably did reach out, or a couple of days after, you went into isolation.
Yep.
And then after that, thought I'd give it a little bit of time, and then you had the flu.
Yep.
Now we're here. And you still got that remnants of that little cough.
Oh, it's so annoying.
Yeah.
It's just, it's on the outskirts, but it's just that little cough just doing my head in.
And I think where we're at as well, like it's going to be something probably that most people are focusing on right now. We're going into winter, or for those who are New Zealand listeners, we're going into winter. Everyone's either going to get the flu or have COVID or have had either of them, and they're going to be sticking around for a while. So when you first got, I'm positive, I'm going to have to stay in here for 7 days. I think it was 7 days at that point. What was going through your mind?
So initially it was my flatmate who got it and we were just, household contacts. Mm-hmm. So for, I think it's 6 days, I was just like testing every day, like negative. I was like, yes, I'm going to get out. And then on the day before we were supposed to get out, I tested positive and I was just like, oh.
Right.
And my first initial thought was, I can't go to the gym. I can't go out. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm someone that gets sick a lot, so I was just kind of went into stress mode. Like, what do I do? Like, and you hear overseas about COVID and how bad it is, and I just didn't really have any idea, so I just kind of started freaking out. Really, yeah.
And it was different because I think, like for us down here, down south, like with Delta and everything, it kind of never really got down here. Yeah. So then once Omicron got here, we were all just like everyone was getting it. So we had a little bit more of an idea of what to expect because we knew people who had it. You were living with someone who had it, and then you got it. Compared to like what you saw happen and what you heard was happening, then actually it happening to you, like what was the realization of all of that?
I guess my initial thought is, of course I got it.
Yeah.
I've dealt with sicknesses my whole life, so I was just like kind of expecting it. It's just kind of like any kind of flu, cold. So I knew what to do. Yeah. I knew how to get over it. I'm not someone that likes to sit still, so I just had to really pace myself.
Cool, and then being able to give yourself that grace and actually coming to terms with, I'm going to be inside for a bit. I'm not going to be able to do what I usually like to do, which is be active and be outside. How did you, were there things that you did for yourself, to actually accept that part of it?
The first thing I did was I journaled. Yeah. So I'm really big on journaling. Nice. My whole flat is. Yeah. So I just kind of let all my thoughts out, everything I was feeling, how anxious I was. And then, my flat's awesome. We just kind of did little things every day just to try and keep us sane, I guess. Did puzzles, that sort of thing, just trying to lift our spirits, I guess. Yeah.
And with the journaling, do you have a certain rhythm that you go through when you're journaling, or do you just go for it all at the time? Do you have a time of day you like to do it? Go through that process.
So I've actually been really slack on it lately, but usually I do it either in the morning or at night. Yeah. Mainly just if there's something on my mind and I'm not someone that likes to talk. I can't really talk about it, but writing I can do, no problem. So I just kind of let out everything that's going on in my head. There's not really any pattern to it. I always start with, 3 things I'm grateful for, cool. And then kind of go into what I'm feeling, why I'm feeling it, how I'm going to try and get over that. Yeah.
And I think that's a really important point that you brought up, is that some people, would prefer to write or would prefer to, speak into a phone or do a podcast or something like that. Because I think we kind of focus on specific mediums for everyone to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then some people feel like, why am I not getting this? And and then they just realize, maybe I'm an artistic person and I can paint my feelings and emotions and stuff like that. So I think it's really cool that you found an outlet for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so the activity part, because a lot of people, probably still going through it where they have to isolate, or even when we're getting sick now. And if you're an extremely active person, what besides writing that stuff down, how did you come to terms with being able to bring the intensity down and being okay with that?
To be honest, I rang my parents every day.
Okay, right.
They were a huge part of it, especially my mum. Because I've just been a sporty kid my whole life, always outside, always doing something. So it was really hard to bring to terms with it, especially with long COVID.
Right.
Because I knew it wasn't just going to be a week, that I wasn't going to be able to, participate in anything.
Sure.
It was going to be a few weeks or months. So I think I just had to kind of ground myself a wee bit and just say, like, everyone's kind of going through this. It's okay. Like, you're not taking a huge step back, that sort of thing.
Cool. And then in terms of, so I saw like you got a bit more content going in that time, and you started building a daily routine, even though you couldn't really go anywhere. For you, trying to stay on top of everything, like were there certain, besides the journaling, like certain things during the day or certain things that you've done that you're going to carry on into the rest of your life now that you're not isolating?
I think the biggest thing for me was just getting up every day, making my bed, having a shower, just kind of those small little things, having a coffee, just trying to keep my routine going, I guess. Routine's huge for me, but there were some things I didn't really do beforehand, like always making my bed before I go to uni. Right. Sometimes, you just rush out the door, but now I make sure I do. Yeah. So I think slowing down actually helped with that sort of thing. Yeah. It's
cool. It does give you that time to reflect.
Yeah.
And see what, actually, if I take this little bit of time, I can set myself up for to come back home and my room's nice and tidy, or feel like I've accomplished something. And I remember, I think maybe, as we was going to do it, and then you came out of isolation, then you started having netball trials, and then there was that whole thing there. I'm going to sound like a stalker, but in that time, like, you made the decision to stop playing netball.
Yeah.
Right. So how, because that conversation in itself, something that you've done for a long time, or even just with people that you really admire or that you love to be around, making that decision, how did that go down?
Yeah, didn't go down too well. So after COVID, I had been going to my doctor quite a bit, because I didn't want to get long-term COVID, I knew there was a huge chance that I could. Right. And I actually got diagnosed with chronic fatigue. Right. And so my doctor was kind of like, I'm not sure if netball's like the best thing for you, because, high intensity, 2 trainings a week, 1 game a week, and then on top of that, my gymming and all of that, it just kind of was like, I don't think it's a good idea. And it really hit home because, it was my first year that I've been playing competitive netball for a while, so I was really excited to get back into it. Get into a good team. It really knocked me down, but it also made me kind of stop and be like, okay, well, what else can I focus on? Sure. So I got into the coaching side of it, and that's been awesome.
Oh, that's really cool. So it gives you another outlet to be able to get back into it as well. And just with that diagnosis as well, this is something that this is the first time it's ever kind of come to light, or there's been talk about it possibly before, or is this the first time?
So as I said earlier, I've always been a sick kid. Yeah. So I've had everything, like glandular fever, I've flu, colds, everything. And so my immune system's never really been the same. So I always kind of thought there was something going on. Right. And it wasn't until I actually saw, I've been to doctors every single year, like, what is going on with me? Help me. And it wasn't until I saw this doctor that he was actually like, I think from the glandular fever, you've actually had chronic fatigue ever since. Yeah. And, so it's just been like kind of like shock, and it's kind of nice to just be like, whoa, someone actually cares and has figured it out.
And because that's quite recent. So like for you to find that out, I mean, something like that can take years because then you have to go through and start looking at your life and see what you need to take away, see what you need to add. So thank you for even being able to share that and be able to talk through that process. And we can a little bit more, but then also look at other things that are going on as well. So to be able to have someone who does care and have that empathy, like, do you find that now, it kind of puts a lot of things from the past into perspective?
Oh, 100%. There's been so many times where I've had to call into work sick, couldn't go to school, and, like a lot of teachers just think, oh, you're being lazy or like you're just missing it for no reason. And now it's like, well, I've actually got a proper excuse, like a proper medical excuse. Yeah. So it's just, I feel like my younger self is just like, thank you. Finally, like there's actually a reason behind it. Yeah.
And then so now, because you can actually, I think even the biggest part is, you've been able to tell it to other people and just say, I can't come in, I'm sick, but also for yourself as well. So like when there are the days where you just like, it's hard to get out of bed, or when there's the days where you've told yourself, I'm going to do this at the gym. And, you know, like we all have those days where you just can't get it. It's just not working.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you find that now it gives you like just a little something, just like rub yourself on the shoulder and be like, it's okay?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I used to beat myself up so much for not going to the gym, and now I'm only going 2 or 3 times a week. And when I didn't go, I used to, you know, I just used to have such bad body image and be like, you have to go to the gym, you know, you have to keep your routine. Now I'm like, I actually don't. Like, it's actually fine. I'm still moving my body. I'm still getting everything else done. Yeah, it's fine.
So going, and then also in the gym, and then probably what isolations and what lockdowns also showed us, do you find that you're enjoying like more outdoorsy things or anything that's like still exercise or changed in your mind physical activity from actually going to the gym?
Since it's getting cold, I haven't been doing as much.
No, fair enough.
But yeah, no, while we were in isolation, we tried to get outside as much as possible. Yeah. Even if it was just sitting outside, we're quite lucky. We have a hammock, so we just used to sit outside. I used to read my book in the hammock, just doing some little stuff like that, which I didn't do before. You know, before COVID, I used to be like, up at the gym, then straight to uni, and you're just inside all day.
For sure.
Yeah, so it's just nice.
And now I've had a couple of Dunedin people on the podcast, and it's quite interesting because I'm someone who came here just to study, ended up working here, but then when you hear it from people who like have lived here, then studied here, and how they have to like shift life, but then also yours is a little bit different because you've got people all over the place. Yeah. So being from Dunedin, like, and being a student, are your flatmates also from Dunedin?
No. So one's from Christchurch, 2 are from Queenstown, one's from Brisbane.
So you get to, so now you get to like start to see the different upbringings, which you wouldn't really have got if you had just like stayed with your same friends coming through. So what's that been like, being a local then going into studying here? Well,
I started off at Unicol, so I just kind of wanted to get out, meet new people, kind of move away from my Dunedin friend group. Not that there was anything wrong with it. Just meet new people. I'm a very social person, so I just love to talk about people, love to hear, you know, their background, that sort of thing. So it was really good for me. I actually I'm the youngest in my flat as well, so it's quite nice just being around people that are older than me and kind of seeing their perspective. You know, they've been flatting for years, so it's just nice being the baby for once. Because
you're also the youngest in your siblings.
Right.
And your siblings are all over the place, but you have one here.
Yes.
And your parents are now in the States.
Yes.
Have they always, like, when did that move happen?
They moved about 14 months ago, so start of last year.
Like, wow, okay, so that's really, really recent as well. So so there's just been a whole bunch, pretty much this last 2 years for you have been like a couple of changes, big changes that you've had to go through.
100%,
and so for you, does that give you an opportunity to go over then, hopefully?
I was supposed to, but so I was supposed to go out over last year, and then COVID happened, so I didn't get to. And then I was supposed to go this year, but they're actually moving to Canada now, so I know, all over the show. So hopefully I'll get to go over and visit them in Canada, or they'll get to come home. So
And then being the youngest, so you're the youngest in a couple of circles, and it's circles that actually can teach you a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And being in that position, like, you know, sometimes people will say, oh yeah, she's so annoying, all that sort of stuff. But in terms of the positive stuff that you've taken from both your siblings and like your friend groups as well, what are things that you've learned and that you feel like have kind of accelerated your growth?
So I was in a boarding school, so I kind of had to grow up fast anyway.
Wow, yeah.
And my 2 older sisters are 9 and 10 years older than me, so I always looked up to them as a young kid. Like, always was kind of like, wow, they're so cool. Like, I want to be like them. So I've always kind of looked up to them, and then as well as my flatmates, I've always looked up to them, and just seeing different perspectives on life, it's quite nice, and our perspectives match up as well. So, you know, just everything about, you know, women's rights, just the way the world works in general. It's kind of nice. it's a more mature look on life, I guess.
Yeah. The really cool conversations that you can have where you start thinking about the world rather than just thinking about, who did this to me, and
exactly.
Like, these people are haters, and the small stuff. That's really cool. And I think that definitely those conversations that you do have, and like I found it now that I'm working, like all my colleagues are 30 or so years older than me.
Yeah.
But like what's important to them, things that I'm just like, wow. Like, that's a priority. That's something that when we think about the world in 20 or 30 years, this was the thought that went into it, rather than just like haters and stuff like
exactly.
that. No, that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah. And you ended up studying here. There was no thought of going anywhere else?
Man, I've thought about going, leaving every year. I originally was going to go to Auckland, study at Auckland University. Kind of doing the same thing. I also applied to be a volunteer in Greece in year 13 and work with the turtles, which would have been really cool. I wish I did it, but everything happens for a reason. Yeah.
And what are you studying here now?
So I study a Bachelor of Science, majoring in sports science, minoring in sports management.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right. And when you were coming through high school, did you come straight out of high school into university?
Yeah.
And did you have an idea of kind of where you wanted to go?
I had no idea.
Yeah, right, cool. Right, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so year 13, all I knew I wanted to do was do something with food. So I was going to do culinary arts at Polytech, and then I was like, I'm not sure. And then my mum did food science here, so I was like, I want to do food science. So first year I did food science, got to like the end of the year, and I was like, I actually don't like this. I don't know what I want to do. And then one of my friends was like, I do sports science. Like, I think you'd really enjoy it. It's right up your alleyway. And I was like, okay. So I kind of used first year, because we get it free, I kind of just used that to kind of find my own path and find what I liked, and, just kind of use it to my advantage, like what can I do, that sort of thing. So, yeah.
And did you find that going into university, like, it was also a really good opportunity for you to, like, because you're from Dunedin, like you said before, going into a hall and then like breaking, because you kind of then have to focus on social as well as academia as well. So like that was also a year to find that balance?
Yeah, absolutely. First year I didn't really care about balance. It was more so the social.
Right.
As it is for most first years. But yeah, going to second year, you start to learn the balance between the two, not just that, like, extracurriculum stuff and that sort of thing, and just having time for yourself. So yeah,
for sure. And doing the papers that you were doing, did you have an idea, like, do you have an idea on how you're going to build your papers so that you can go towards a specific job, or are you just doing what interests you?
It's changed a lot, as it does for anyone. I think to start with, because you did exercise physiology,
so like PE, but like in sports physiology.
Yeah. So that's where I first wanted to go, and then I was like, I'm not sure, and it's changed so much. So I have an idea, but I'm also like, it's changed so much already. Who knows where I'll end up?
Yeah, and that's the fun part, and that's the things that I think a lot of people, when they think about university, they think you're going. A lot people are like this. They have a structure where they're like, I'm going to do these papers so that I can get into this. But the part that a lot of people miss is the curiosity that you can have.
Yeah,
you'll probably do a paper, like one paper that's kind of relates to everything else, but you're like, that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then that's the thing that drags your curiosity, and then you're like, I can get a job in all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. It's just you love the learning.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you're like that as well, where the content is just interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what I've based my whole degree on.
Yeah.
Like, it's not I tell my girls that I coach, I'm like, because, they're always like, what's uni like? I'm like, honestly, I just went out and did what I enjoyed.
Yeah.
I didn't follow a certain pattern to end up in a job that I might end up hating. You know, like I've done papers that actually interest me and make me want to continue doing them down the track. Yeah.
That's really cool. And I think to have role models like that is very important.
Yeah.
Because I think too often we have people who just said, who focus on job first, and like, you need to focus on this career and that career, and then we just have a whole bunch of people who go into things and they're just so unhappy because they're like, I need to get this career, but like I'm just I don't like it. I have no interest. So that's awesome. Your coaching that you're doing, are you like, what are the age groups that you're coaching?
So I coach water polo senior A.
Wow.
At Columba, and then I coach netball 10A at Tyree College. Yeah.
So you're like very young and like you're quite impressionable. Like these are people who are going to remember you as that person.
Hopefully.
Like, it doesn't seem like that now, but like if you think about, so I think about my role models that I had, and to them at the time, they were just coming in like, oh yes, and I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah,
I want to be like that.
Yeah.
So like, you could be that person.
Hopefully, I hope so. I hope I inspire my girls.
Yeah, that's very cool. So I'm imparting some of that knowledge, and you're pretty much, if you look at what you do and all the things you're getting involved with, you are very social, and you've said that before.
Yeah.
So just touch on the types of things that you do where you're working with people. So right now.
So obviously, I have my coaching that I do.
Yeah.
Mainly just that in social media.
Yeah.
So my social media side of it. I think I've made so many friends through, especially my fitness account on Instagram. It's awesome. You just meet so many people from all around New Zealand, all around the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just connected through so many different people. Yeah,
because from that you also you're doing your coaching with the girls and people, but then you're also doing online coaching, right? And then from that you're also, I saw very recently, what's the thing going on with F45?
So I was at Les Mills, but I've moved to F45.
Right. Okay.
CBD. Yeah.
So you're a coach there?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's more people that you're interacting with.
Exactly. Yeah. It's it's awesome. It really makes you step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because I'm a pretty shy person when you first meet me, so it's just really pushed me to get out and actually talk to people. Yeah.
And so for you, besides like say you had played netball and all that, but besides that, what made you think like this would be a really good stepping stone for me? Besides, like, because you're going to step out of your comfort zone regardless, but also, like, you could have easily just been like, oh, no, I have some time to myself, but you've taken something else, so what was kind of that push?
I guess it started last year when I just got fully into the gym, and then I was like, man, I'd love to be a PT. I'd love to help people, get their goals like I've started achieving mine. And so I just started doing a course alongside uni, and I was just like, this is what I want to do. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked back since.
That's cool.
It's awesome watching people achieve their goals, watching them get a personal best, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're helping people train, and you're like, I think it's the thing that we all love is like the fulfilling part is you're there with them.
Yeah.
Or they do something for themselves that they never thought they could do.
Yeah.
And then, but like, it's a weird thing because they did the work and you like helped them along that journey, and then it's weird because you're like part of the journey now.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow, this is like, I never, and like get this weird tingly feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to start getting that now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I do already, even at F45, pushing people to go beyond their limits and what they actually thought, they could lift, and how far they could run, how far they could cycle, that sort of thing. It's so awesome. It's such an awesome job, and I'm so privileged to be able to do it.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And now thinking about your own training and goals for yourself, like, is there anything that you have in mind that you would like to do? Or, like, I know you're in a recovery period right now, but were there goals, like, say, COVID and stuff wasn't a thing, were there goals that you had for yourself for this year or the next few years?
Fitness related, not really. I just kind of like to move my body, get out, lift heavy stuff, really. I didn't really have any in mind. I just love being in the gym. Yeah.
So you're just like enjoying it and being able to express like however it works for you. And then getting better at doing all of those different things, and then sharing your journey as you go along as well. And how has that been? So now this is the social media side of things, because you're quite honest on there. Like you'll say if it was shite, you would say, "Oh, I had a good day today," or like I couldn't go today. And how is that response? Because like to put that out to a bunch of people, and a lot of them who don't even know you personally, like that can be scary.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So for you to like decide, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start putting this out there. Where did that idea come from, and how did it start?
So I've had my account for about 4 years now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, I think it was 2020.
Right.
I started putting stuff out there, and, I'd hear about people saying certain things about it, as you would. And then I'm not even sure. It was just kind of like a switch. I was just like, I actually don't care what people think. Like, And I think the other thing is I'd have people coming to me like, wow, this is so amazing. Like, thank you for sharing this. Like, this means so much to me. I love watching your journey. And it was people like that just pushed me to keep going.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you were doing it at the beginning, like what was the type of content you were putting out versus the type of content that you're putting out now?
A lot of it was just food related.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't really do so much of my fitness side of it. It was just recipes, going out for lunch, that sort of thing. And even if I did film, I would just be very awkward and very nervous. And now I don't care. Like, I'll set up my whole camera and everything in front of people, and people will just be looking like, what is she doing? And I'm just like, I'm just in my own world really now, especially at the gym. It's just, second, it's my home. So
exactly. Because like now that's something that it's kind of a bit more normal. I remember back when maybe like early 2013-ish when like vlogs and stuff started, like actual proper, so like that would have been the weirdest thing. But now we're in a time where, some people do it a little bit more, not really in New Zealand, not so much, like you don't have the big tripods and people just like walking around, but to film that sort of stuff now is a little bit more normal, but it can be weird. Like, absolutely. How long did it take you to start feeling like, I'm going to put my camera here on a tripod or just lean it up against the bottle and then like people are going to see this and I'm going to feel weird?
It took me a few years.
Yeah, it does take a while.
Like to start with, I would kind of put my camera down like at a place that no one could see it, or I'd be in a corner where no one could see me, just filming. And looking back at those, I just looked so awkward. Like I just didn't want to be there. Compared to now, like I'll set up my whole tripod. And
some of them, because like I remember that when people would do it, they'd always like go to like the weirdest corner of the gym so that no one would see them. And now, like sometimes you just have to use a machine or you have to use something that's like smack bang in the middle of the gym, hard to get an angle, and you just know people are going to see you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one thing that I wanted to comment on is you do the occasional Fix Your Form Friday, and it starts off. So I'll let you explain it soon. But all I know is that like it's a before, then an after with correction tips. Yeah. But I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about specifically.
Yeah, I do. So the one you're talking about. Yeah, so Fix Your Form Friday is really awesome. Obviously with COVID and everything, I haven't been able to do it as much. Yeah. But every Friday I pretty much put out, exercise that I see a lot of people performing wrong and just giving tips and tricks on how to perform it properly. So the one you were talking about, it is smack bang in the middle. It was a leg extension and I just had so many people looking at me, and that was the first time in a long time I actually felt really awkward filming, which I don't usually. I had my tripod, but just the noises and everything and facial expressions. So like what you did was you did the first half is where you're just like, this is me doing it like incorrectly, or every possible thing that you could do wrong. Yeah, really. And then you have a few voiceovers or a few things that you could do to correct your form. And then in the later video is where you're doing it properly. But that first video, for anyone who would have seen it, not knowing the context behind it, I would have just been like, she's lost her mind. Absolutely.
I would have stood and been like, we're gonna have to fix that. No, so that was really cool. So for you as well, I think putting yourself out there. One of the biggest things I think is, you can get really good into your fitness goals. You can really get into the eating and everything like that. But something that is still quite prevalent, I guess, with most people actually, all genders, is the just body image, and because you're putting that out there. Yeah. And people without knowing you sometimes comment just on, instead of looking at your journey and everything, it's just commenting on how you look. Yeah. And to be able to accept that and come to terms with your body and loving your body, that also would have been like quite difficult. Yeah, sharing that.
Oh, absolutely.
So so how's that all going?
It's definitely been a journey. And I think surrounding myself with people that are just body positive about everything has really helped that. But definitely in the beginning, I'd have some people, random people just commenting awful things that I didn't even know. They're the type of people that have like 13 followers, that sort of thing.
Classic,
Yeah, or I'd have, hear on the grapevine people saying stuff about my body. And it did take a huge toll. I did take a big step back from posting a wee bit as well. And then kind of getting into the gym and learning about everything, and, you start following influencers that are making a difference and sharing their stories, and that kind of just inspired me to kind of turn around and be like, I'm just lucky to be able to move my body. This is my body, that's it. It's kind of just, I'm not sure, it just switched, and I was just like, who cares, like at the end of the day, people are going to say whatever they want. But it was a huge journey, and it still is. I still have days where I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh gosh, right, you need to get to the gym. And I think that is for any young girl, like anyone around my age, and that's why, that is a huge reason why I wanted to be a PT, because I wanted to work with females especially, and just help their body image, and help their journey, and help them feel comfortable in their own skin.
For sure, and that's what I mean with like the people that you're coaching, or even the teenage girls that you're coaching. They're young now, but by the time you know it, the next 2 years they're going to be part of that, where the spotlight is, and how they're meant to look, and all of that's going to start playing on their psyche and what they think they're capable of, and all that shit. Like, it just comes in, and it can really destroy people.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm just kind of lucky that I've had, role models, older role models that have just kind of been like, you're beautiful, like, you can't listen to people. But I think social media is a very toxic place. You see people like Kim Kardashian, who lost, what was it, like 12 pounds for the Met Gala. And it's just, you kind of step back and think, if I was 16, that would have had a huge toll on me, like, especially people with eating disorders, that sort of thing. So it's really, really hard to not get sucked into it as well. Yeah.
So even, because it's easy to start becoming that person who you want. You don't want to be a role model, but you end up becoming that role model for a lot of people. How are you? Like, what are things that you're doing for yourself? Because I know that people will be messaging you and telling you all these awesome things, or some people will say, hey, I love that when you did this. Do you have advice? And then it like gets to a point where it can be quite dangerous for you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's almost like a not a burden with it, but there's that extra responsibility that it seems like everyone feels like they have.
Oh, like, absolutely. Yeah. I've had so many people come to me and just been like, I've been on this diet, what should I do? And I'm like, I'm actually not a dietitian. I can't tell you what to do. I've had people come to me like, I hate my body, and it doesn't really take a toll on me. It just kind of makes me sad. Like, it's just like, this is the world we live in nowadays. Like, people are hating their bodies, and half of them are half the size of me, you know? Like, it's just a very sad world that we live in nowadays. But in saying that, I do get, the odd, I'm doing this because of you, so cool. It's just, it's a very fine line,
Yeah. And then just like, is there anything that you're doing around your use of social media besides the people you follow? But like, is there anything that you're doing like to, because it's easy for us. We say all this stuff all the time. We show that we know it, and then you just find yourself like doom scrolling, just going through, and then you're just like, holy shit, where did my time go?
Yeah.
Or like, holy shit, I'm not like that.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to fall into that. So is there stuff that you're doing for yourself to make sure that you're, not falling into those?
The first thing I did was unfollow a lot of people, a lot of toxic people.
Yeah.
Not going to throw influencers' names out there, but there is a few that, I used to follow when I first started my journey, because I was like, wow, I want to look like them, they've got small waist, big bum, that sort of thing. And then you kind of, as your journey goes on, you kind of think, a lot of that's fake, you know, and like that's just social media. It's all fake, and that's why I try and keep it as real as possible, because, and I think that's why I inspire people, because I'm just being myself. At the end of the day, I'm just showing my natural body, everything's just natural. And I think people get inspired by that, because you don't see it a lot nowadays.
Right. Yeah. And do you find, so like, this is not anything against anyone else, but like, to even be able to sit here and talk through all of these different things kind of shows you're a real person? Because like, if I ask questions to other people who, their whole life is just photos and captions.
Yeah.
But there's no conversation. There's no like humanness to them.
Yeah.
And then so if I was to try have a conversation, like they wouldn't be as introspective as you are.
Yeah.
Which is like why I thought this would be an awesome opportunity. Is to like have a chat with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
You can chat. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like, I think some people on social media are kind of like robots, you know? Like, all they want to do is just get content out, you know? And I think a lot of it as well, they don't really care about their followers, whereas I really do. Yeah. I love my followers. Not only do I inspire them, but they inspire me as well. Yeah.
And it's also a weird thing to like think of however many followers you have, and just thinking that there's that many people who know what you're doing as well. So like, it's a weird thing where you want to be as you as possible without taking that responsibility of being like, they also have to, you know, find themselves as well. And so it's a big responsibility, and you're like so young as well. So to be dealing with that, it's very commendable. Yeah. So as long as you're keeping yourself safe, I hope you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, I always have days where I just don't really go on it, really go on social media, especially with exams coming up, you know.
For sure.
I always delete TikTok as well. Coming up to
TikTok is the worst. So you just go forever.
So I definitely do. I definitely take time to myself and just kind of switch off, I guess, from social media.
Yeah. And then something else. So also, this is another thing where it's like it inspires people to do stuff, or it also starts conversation, is that you also share the books that you read. Now, you seem to be an avid reader. Like, by the time I look, I'm just like, whoa, that was only 2 weeks ago she was starting this one.
Yeah.
When you are getting into reading, you know, what types of things kind of pique your interest the most in terms of genre of book?
I'll read anything. Yeah. Mainly, you know, health, fitness, that sort of thing. Just inspirational stories, that sort of thing. Yep. That's kind of what I go for, yeah.
And does there have been anything recently or something that, like, in the past couple of years that you've read that just kind of has shaped the way that you are or shaped conversations that you have?
Oh, Tattooist of Auschwitz. If you haven't read that, wow.
Yeah,
that book, I cried so much.
That one is really like just intense. Yeah, and just to think that this like guy just worked his way all the way through so that he could escape. Oh man, yeah. So we'll put that one out there. So if you haven't, like, go read that book.
That is my favorite book. Yeah.
How long ago had you read that?
I've read it 3 times now.
When you read something more like multiple times, you know that.
I first read that. Must have been 2 years ago now. Yeah. It was when it first came out, I think. Right. Yeah. I just couldn't put it down.
Yeah. Was it more the stories in it, or was it more like the courageousness of this individual, or what was it about the book? Because it was well written as well.
Yeah, very well written. I think, just how courageous he was. Yeah. If you haven't read it, I encourage you to. It's a great book. Even the second one, Silka's Journey, is really good as well.
I need to get onto that then.
Yeah.
And in terms, so I think even recently you read. Did you end up finishing Breath?
No, I'm 3/4 of the way through it, but that is an awesome book as well.
Because even that book, so that's where it gives you. So Breath is a book by James Nestor, I think, and basically it's about the science of breathing. And every time I even talk about the book, I just look at myself straight away. I'm like, your mouth breathing right now. You're not breathing through your nose. You need everything he just told you in that book, and it's just about the evolution of the human body because of the foods we eat and the way that we breathe. So for that, it's got really, really cool tips on how to breathe better. But so in terms of going forward, I know you're going to go into an exam period, but are you lining up any other books like for when you can actually get some free time?
Not really. I kind of just go to the Dunedin Public Library. I could spend hours in there, to be honest. And just kind of go to a section that I know is kind of up my alley and just find something that looks good. That's kind of what I base my books off of, unless someone suggested something to me. But no, I don't have any lined up at the moment. So if you have any,
we'll have a think. I kind of talk about a book like most weeks where I just haven't really been into them too much recently. But I need to get inspired again. Like, I don't know. You seem like someone though who doesn't really need the inspiration to read. You're just like, if you get given time, you'll just read.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've been quite slack on it lately, but I love a good book.
We all have those times. We all have those times.
Absolutely.
And for yourself, so going into a stressful period, so a lot of people would kind of correlate exams with a lot of stress, and with that also comes the time of high cortisol, and then just a lot of possibility for illness, which you've spoken about now. What are some things that you're going to start putting in place so that you can kind of stay on top of all of that?
First things first, just prioritizing sleep.
Yep.
I think I slept for 13 hours last night.
Yeah, how good.
Which is amazing. I've only been getting like 6 hours lately. So yes, just having a really good sleep, having an early bedtime.
Yeah.
I can't function past 10 p.m. anyway, trying to get to bed before 10, having a good breakfast, having 3 meals a day. I think nutrition is the big thing, and my mum will be listening to this and she's huge on it. So nutrition, it's all I hear from her. Vitamin C, nutrition. Yep. Making sure my greens are up, getting fresh air.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing for university students is having a break.
Yeah.
Like, I know some of my friends that just will study for like 6 hours. And I'm just like, how?
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? You won't even be absorbing anything.
Yeah. You get to a point where you're just like looking at it and you're just like, is this nothing's going into my head?
It's not even English anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're just like, or like you get, I don't know, I've done it plenty of times. I'm doing it at work sometimes now where I'll just read one sentence, read the next sentence, then realize, wait, what was that first sentence? And then go back up to it. And I just keep glazing over it. I'm like, I need to go for a walk.
Yeah.
I just need to go do something.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really cool. And so are you actually going to do that though?
I hope so. No, I use an app called Forest. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Tell us about that.
It's awesome. Yeah, so you pretty much, it kind of switches your whole phone off. You just plant trees.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and so you can't go into your phone at all. But you can set a timer. So I usually set a timer for like 20 to 40 minutes, and then it actually tells you go for a walk or go for a break, or I'll just go to the bathroom, fill my drink bottle back up, and then come back. Even something as small as that to break it up helps so much.
Those are really good tips, because I think we don't think about the small things that you can do. We don't think about the walk to the bathroom. We think about, okay, how am I going to run a marathon at lunchtime because I haven't exercised all week? It's like, just do these small things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what's that app called again?
Forest, I believe.
Okay. You probably don't even need to use an app, actually. Just when you get thirsty, go to get a drink.
Exactly.
Stand up every now and then, or have a timer. And for you, if you are, so when it does lock your phone, what are the main things on your phone that take a lot of your attention?
Instagram.
Yeah?
Oh, it's so bad. Yeah, I think that's it for everyone. Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok.
Yeah.
That's why I delete TikTok, but trying to get around to deleting Instagram. They just take all my time away, you know, and I'll be studying and then it'll be like, cool, 5-minute break, and then it'll be 20 minutes later, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm still on Instagram.
Yeah. And you realise, like, all I've done is look at a couple of these things and, like, reply to a few people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And when you post, okay, this is something that I'm curious, when a lot of people post that get a lot of attention, do you post and leave it, or do you post and just, like, keep looking at every notification that comes in, go back to it? Well, you're right. Are you happy just posting and being like, let's do its thing?
It depends on the content. If it's something that's kind of small, I won't really worry about it. But if it's something that's out there and is kind of hard for me to talk about or something like that, then I'm always checking it. I'm such an anxious person. I'm just like, oh my gosh, who's liking it? Like, who's seen it? That sort of thing. So, it definitely depends on what I've posted.
Now, you said you're an anxious person, and then sometimes when you put stuff out there, especially exercise stuff, actually pretty much anything you put out on the internet now, everyone's got an opposing opinion. Like someone somewhere. Yeah. Does that ever freak you out from going to post?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's when you should see my drafts. I've got so many. I'm just like, I don't know if I can post it, or I'm always thinking like, who's going to see this? Yeah. Is this going to get back to me and bite me one day? That sort of thing. So it's definitely hard to post nowadays. Yeah. Everyone, like you said, everyone's got an opinion. Yeah. Everyone does. So
when you do post and you've probably done all your fact checking, you've done like, does this make sense to me? And you've just gone through that whole rigmarole of just like, okay, I think this is, how do you back yourself then to just do it?
I kind of just go 3, 2, 1 post.
Okay, yeah. All right, sweet.
I kind of I'm like, just do it. And then a lot of the time I'll just put my phone down and just wait a wee bit. Right. And then you hear the buzzing. Oh, it's just, I have to check it. I'm always like, oh gosh, who's seeing it? You know?
Yeah. And now another thing, like this is probably an additional thing that most people at uni never really have to think about. And I never really have to think about because I work with a bunch of people who just don't even have social media.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're going into classes with people who regularly use these apps as well.
Mm-hmm.
Probably some of them are going to come to your gym
mm-hmm.
and see you working out and see you as that person who's posted stuff. But then you're in the same class, you go sit next to them.
Yeah.
Like, does that ever cross your mind as well?
Absolutely. There's been a few times actually in town where people have come up to me and they're like, "You're my fit foodie, like I love your page." And I was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, people actually know me. It's weird actually, because, you know, I'm just I'm a very humble person. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I didn't think people actually cared that much, you know, but I always go into some of my classes and I'm like, oh wow, some of these people have replied to my stories. Like this is weird. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of them are just lovely people anyway. Cool. So yeah, a lot of the time I'm just like, oh, you know, say hi, that sort of thing. Yeah.
So you're getting the good lot.
Yeah.
The people that actually matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Respond to that stuff. Because I actually haven't said this. I think like 2 weeks ago, I got cleared out of a ruck, like during a rugby game. Yeah. And then a guy cleared me out and we're on the ground. He's like, cool podcast, bro. And then ran away. I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a weird thing. But it's weird because like we see the numbers that react to stuff. And like we see how many people listen. You see how many people like. You see who replies to your stuff. So it's weird because you know people know. Yeah. But it always just surprises you that people do know. It's like, wow, I don't think I'll ever get used to this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you're at that point as well. For you, in terms of, so the next couple of weeks, go beyond exams and then just thinking about your development and growth as a trainer. Mm-hmm. What are some things that you have or that you'd really like to get on top of the next couple of months?
I think my online coaching is a big thing. Because obviously I'm not doing that one-on-one anymore, which I do miss. You know, I had awesome clients at Les Mills, so just getting on top of that, getting programs out to people, you know, communicating a bit more. I've been lacking a wee bit with my account, so just getting more content out, that sort of thing. So, And then
getting your programs out, and then the people that you have been... Because you're very honest, like when you say, I'm not doing too well this week, things are going to come a bit later. Yeah. Is everyone pretty receptive to that and they're like okay with it?
Yeah, also I have awesome clients. Yeah. Everyone's always like, it's okay, like you've been sick, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, but I beat myself up a lot. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, you know, I always make deadlines for myself, and when I don't make them, I'm like, oh, come on, Maia.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. And actually, that in terms of having programs and having clients and building that as well, what I find in a lot of the PT, the fitness industry, is that they can teach you how to do all that stuff, but they don't teach you the personable side. Like, you just have to be good at it. Yeah. And they don't teach you the business side. Yeah. So, like, actually, you know, giving yourself a price point, having value, and valuing yourself. Yeah. How did you get to a point where you could actually, like, start saying, this costs this much? Yeah. Because, we could do it for free because we just love doing it. Yeah. But then we start getting to a point that you're putting so much energy into it. Yeah. So how did you have that conversation with yourself that, like, okay, I need to get money for this? Yeah. Or, like, it's a service. Yeah. Yeah.
I think I started out with, like, 6-week programs, and it was just $20 straight off. Yeah. And then all the time and effort I put into them, I was like, $20 is not enough.
Exactly, yeah.
Because, designing programs takes a long time, and, you know, and especially personalised ones, you've got to think about your specific client and what gym they're at, like what equipment they might have, you know, their personal goals, their injuries, that sort of thing. So it does take a long time, and I do try and put the best work out there for my clients. Yeah. And it was actually Les Mills that really helped with that. You know, they flew us up to Auckland, and we did a whole, we were up there for a week just talking about business side of it, that sort of thing. And they just kind of were realistic with us. Like, you know, you're qualified PTs. You're putting all this time and effort and energy into people. You should be expecting a pay.
Yeah. But, like, when you have to put your own price out there, and especially because, you know, the first couple of clients you get would probably be, like, your parents, your friends, a couple of people who know you. And before you start branching out after that, because they start seeing the work that you're doing with them. but like it's really hard because they're close to you, and you feel like, okay, I shouldn't charge them everything, and no matter how many times they tell you just charge what you want, you'd be like, is this much okay? And then they're like, yeah, and you're like, I could have gone more, maybe, who knows? But then you're just like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. It's really hard to. It's really hard to know, and you know, there's so many PTs out there now, so it's like, what makes me so special from them? You know? It's been so hard thinking of a price for everything, because I'm just like, oh, you know, like, will people want to buy it for this price? Is it too much? Is it not enough? Is it within their budget? That sort of thing. And I work with a lot of students, so I try and keep it on the cheaper side, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, I'm not getting a lot myself, you know. It's just all going into my business. Which is bound to start with, I guess,
That's cool. So then, like, once you get a little bit more time to put into it and start growing that a little bit more, I think you'll have a good platform that you can kind of start building off in that right there. Now, so this is our last question before we get into the last question about the fitness side. But with F45 and how that all fits in, like, you're still just going to have your online stuff and then coaching. So group classes? Yeah. So that's your new model, is you'll be online with your individuals and then off with your groups. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. No, I love F45.
Yeah.
It's my first week, but yeah. it's such an awesome vibe in there. If you haven't done it, it's so fun. It's really hard. It's really, really hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like the energy that comes with all the members is just awesome. Yeah.
And when you go in there, so like this is just something that I know from most group classes like that, is that the people who are in there coaching the classes, they are like, it's like they're on crack.
Absolutely.
It's like they're just like the most vibrant, it's like wow, like people, and you're just like, where did that come from? But like it's a weird energy that everyone else picks up. Yeah, even when you're like dying, you're on the ground, you like get down on the bottom of a burpee, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna go to sleep here. Yeah. And then like you just have one of those people go, you're like, all right, looks like I can back up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're bringing that, like you feel like you can bring it?
To start with, not so much, you know, I'm just still trying to find my rhythm, that sort of thing, but it's definitely picking up, and like the trainers at F45 are just awesome. Yeah. Like there was one class I did last week, and you know, one of the trainers, Jordan, was like throwing me a ball and she was wanting me to headbutt it to her, you know, like just doing stuff like that. It's just like, it's so inclusive, and I love it.
That's very cool. That's very, very cool. And I think it's good for you as well to have as much exposure to different forms of exercise. So like the more you can get, the more when it comes to you programming, you like, I know how to do like effective circuit training. I know how to do or like these sorts of trainings, because I do this training, I've done this training, and these are the things that work. You just get more tools. Yeah, absolutely. To use. No, that's really cool. That's very, very cool. And you seem like someone who can take, what do you call it? Because I know Les Mills is really hard for it, but when you go, like they give you a lot of feedback. Yeah. Very quickly. Yeah, absolutely. And you have to kind of be the best of the best. Like if they've just got a very efficient, strict model. Yeah, and for sure. You went through that. Oh yeah, absolutely. It was a great learning curve. That's for sure. And you have to be in it with Les Mills for the long run. Yeah. That's the thing. You build your client base really, really quickly there, which was awesome. And they kind of help you the whole way. You know, especially as a new PT. Yeah, they're always like guiding you, I guess. Yeah. But like also for you to do well there, you also have to, you know, take on the feedback that they give you, apply it, and then like keep working and growing. And no, that's very cool. So just one question that I have, which I ask every guest on this podcast, is just what is something that you do every day or close to every day that makes you feel like you've optimized the day? And it can be one thing, two things, or whatever. I light my candle every single day. Really? Yeah, every night I light a candle, and it's just nice. You know, have a shower, come into your room, light your candle, lights off. It's so nice. That's the most unique answer I've ever had. I got so caught off. I was like, wait, we've talked about journaling already. She's going to say she's going to read a book. No, you light the candle. Oh, I love candles. Yeah. Wow. Is it a scented candle? Scented candle, yeah. So one of the glass house ones, yeah. Right. Okay, so shower. I'm gonna try this. So you come in, so the candle's lit, lights are off, and the only light that's coming is from your candle. Maybe and then I'll chuck Netflix on or something. Yeah, it's just so relaxing. Yeah, it's just nice. Yeah, helps me get to sleep. I like that. How long have you been doing that?
quite a few years now.
Yeah.
I always have candles beside my bed. Yeah.
Right. That is really cool.
Yeah.
I really, really like that. That is the most unique answer I've ever had. Like, usually it's stuff that, you know, people go through their habit sort of things, but like, I've never thought about lighting a candle.
Yeah. Or I'll, you know, light my candle, do some journaling, read a book.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
But like to start all of that process of winding down, the candle's lit.
Yeah.
How good. How very good.
Yeah.
Well, Maia, this has been a very cool chat.
Yeah, thank you.
And like getting to meet you here in the podcast and then
finally.
being able to explore just a few things as well. Like I hope when people do listen to this, you know, they see the person or the human side of everything, and that when you do talk about, you know, in your content, you're talking about just being human and all that sort of stuff. Like you are a human.
Yeah, exactly.
All of this stuff, you're learning along the way.
Yeah.
There's more and more that you're going to, you know, like by the time this comes out, like months after, you'll probably be, you know, onto something else because you seem to move pretty quickly on some things. So no, it's been awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to say for people listening, or even for just reflection of this whole entire process?
I think the biggest thing is just to remember that even though I do have a platform, I am human. Yeah. I do have feelings. Yeah. You know, and I can only take on so much, even though I will tell myself I can take on everything, you know. And that's about it, really. No, that's an awesome place to leave it. And you're so right. We are only human, and people just think because we have all these thousands of people that want to, you know, that follow us and like the content, it doesn't necessarily mean that like we don't see the sore parts of what people will have to say. So exactly. I really appreciate that. I've appreciated your time. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in and chatting. Thank you. And it's been awesome. And I'm looking forward to seeing what else comes for the next few years from you. Cool. All right. Take care. Thank you.